Hey there Internet, and welcome to my first video for the Readalong YouTube book club of The Recruit by Robert Muchamore. It was suggested that for this video I talk a little bit about the book's setting, seeing as this book takes place in Britain and I am very much American. How did I feel about the setting, and does it really play that much of a role into the book as a whole? First, I think it's important to talk about how the setting is established in this book. The vocabulary is a huge factor in establishing where James is. It doesn't come out and explicitly say he lives in London town-ish for quite a while, but there are definite vocabulary clues that pick me up into where in the world this is taking place. First off, spelling comes into play a little bit. He talks about organization, spelled with an S instead of a Z like it is in America, but also just word choice. James pays a couple quid for something. His mom nicks stuff for a living. He has a mum, not a mom. When people swear, they say that something is bloody awful. And when he's talking about school, you talk about year 7, whereas here we have grade levels instead of years. Now, something that I think is also worth pointing out is that I'm reading the British printing version of this book. If there are other Americans who are watching this video and who have read this book, maybe you're finding that some of these things are different. I know there is a tendency sometimes in publishing to change things in books when they cross the ocean in either direction. I know in the first Harry Potter book that was something that was sort of touched on. The Weasley family wears sweaters in America because if we called them jumpers, we would have this vision of the whole family full of boys wearing dresses. So some of that stuff I understand has to be changed, but I'm really hoping that for the most part, editors in America kept that stuff the same because that does help build the picture of where this story is happening. So now that we know that the story is in England, does the Britishness of this book matter? First off, for the no side of this argument, I think that it actually maybe doesn't matter so much that James is growing up in London. I think the fact that he's in an urban setting versus a suburban one like the one I grew up in was more striking to me. And there's certain things about James's experience that, at the beginning at least, are very universal. This kid feels misunderstood. He feels basically ignored by his parents. He maybe doesn't have the greatest home life. He has struggles in school and his friends and his choices, where I've never been a London schoolboy, but I can understand what it was like to be a kid and feel like maybe people don't get me. That's a universal trait. I think whether or not you're reading this book in America, in Australia, in the UK, wherever you're reading it, I think that's something that kids growing up anywhere have in common. But then, yes, the setting does much matter when it comes to stories. To me, setting is another character in and of itself. You can complain about characters being flat. I think the same thing can go for setting. I think the fact that the British Isles geographically are maybe not that big, and the fact that Europe is so close, it can really change the mood of the story. The fact that being international is such a common thing, whereas if you're in the United States, we go to other states more often than we maybe go to other countries just because of where we are in the world. That happens. But I think because James and his classmates are going to have other countries so nearby, I can see that this story and this series has the potential to literally go a lot of different places. I also think that the nature of the intelligence world and being a kid is also vastly different in Britain. I think that James has a lot more freedoms than maybe I did as a 12-year-old. Now, granted, I was growing up in an American suburb in the Midwest, but I also think that in my experience of being in the UK and being in Europe, children grow up faster. Were we having this story take place in maybe Washington, D.C. and having American kids be spies, or another great series that comes to mind is Ally Carter's Gallagher Girls series, which is all about American girls becoming spies, going to spy school. But they don't do that until high school. And the interesting thing about the Cherub program is that these are children. They're much younger than that. So maybe it's just the way that we view childhood and the maturity of our kids and how that can all play into a role. So I think Cherub and this series, it has to take place in England because this is where it makes sense. So yes, the setting matters, but the experiences that James is going through, at least in terms of feelings, if maybe not necessarily in terms of plot, are universal. Like I said, I'm only halfway through, and the settings that Robert Muchamore has built up rather than being already location specific have been great. I think the stark contrast between James's home life is so different from then the Cherub facility, where he has the best of everything and everything is state of the art, and they're really pushing for people to succeed and be successful, and they believe in him. I mean, of course, right now at the point I'm at in the book, he's still at basic training, so right now he's just scraping by to get through, you know, a day-to-day basis. So those are some of my ramblings on the Recruit so far. I'm interested to keep going. I hope that you guys are too. So let's keep this conversation going in comments. What do you guys think of this setting, be it Britain or the Sheriff facility or any of that fun stuff? And also check out the videos by others. Make your own videos for the Recruit. Again, use the hashtag the Recruit Readalong. Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, Facebook, all of the social media. Let's keep this going. All of my usual links are down below. Comments are always welcome. And that's it for me for now. Take care. Bye.